recommendation to have a vote to direct the library to remove certain content. The first issue, of course, is a legal issue. The First Amendment prohibits the government from restricting speech and from regulating content in that speech. So the First Amendment would not allow you to direct anybody to take down any kind of speech. It doesn't work that way. You're not allowed to do that. The Supreme Court of the United States has said that repeatedly since the First Amendment came into effect a long, long time ago. The second issue is this: the library board, of course, governs the actions of the library. This board does not. The library board has hired an executive director to operate that library. And so any concerns or complaints about how the library is functioning, what it's doing or not doing, needs to be addressed to the library board and then addressed with their executive director. This board specifically does not have any authority to direct that action or that conduct. So if any questions about any of that, I'm happy to answer them, but otherwise, there's no real action that you can take.
We've already been to the executive director, and the library board said they couldn't do anything and that it was up to the Bryan County commissioners to do something because you guys are in charge of the library. So now we're getting, oh, we don't do that. We don't do that. So who actually is in charge? Who hires the librarian? She's doing this on her own. The executive director said that she didn't tell her she had to do it, but she didn't tell her she couldn't do it either. She said it was up to her. So the librarian has full autonomy in the library to do whatever she wants?
It's a great question, and I can only go off of what the attorney tells me.
Maybe you need a new attorney.
Okay, Mr. O'Brien, thank you very much. But I don't mind carrying on a conversation with anybody that has an issue in our community, no matter what it is. So I welcome the opportunity to talk to any of y'all after the meeting, tomorrow, the next day, and so on, to address any and all of your concerns. But, you know, I've been advised of what the limits are of what this body can do, and that's the best that I can, you know, offer for you tonight.
But you guys appoint the library board,
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
right?
100%.
So they can change the
So
members.
who does the library board respond to then? Or are they completely autonomous? They're appointed by you guys.
They are appointed by this board.
Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
then
100%.
how do you not have any relationship with them to say, hey, library board, you guys are being political or whatever, this should not be happening. Go ahead and say what you want to say. And I'm sorry, but Mr. Attorney, no one is saying to get rid of books. We're just saying, let's not highlight them in the middle of the library. No one said to take them off the shelves. No one said to, burn them or throw them away, even though I think a lot of them are garbage anyway. Come look at them.
Yeah,
But the point is, somebody's got to be responsible, and we're just going to get the same old runaround. Oh, no, not me, not me, not me. Someone has the authority to tell that woman to remove the display. I want to know who that's going to be.
the colorful posters and all that, advertising Pride Month, is that really necessary in the library?
Yeah.
To draw attention to this?
One thing, you may explain that our regional, that library is operated by a regional library board. It's unlike Chatham County. I believe Chatham County commissioners perhaps may have authority over that. We are different because it is a regional library. And no one's saying that we agree or disagree with your comments. It's just the authority in the hand of the arm of what we can and cannot do. And so I think that's, this is not about our beliefs and our thoughts and all that.
Right, but who has authority?
And I will tell you this, we will continue to work to get towards an answer for that. I'll challenge you, or ask you to do that, Mr. Council.
Sure, certainly. So, several things. Again, number one, political speech or not political speech, it's still speech. And how content is displayed is a matter of speech, period. That's the First Amendment, the end. You cannot regulate speech. You're not allowed to, okay? Number one. Number two, as you indicated, Commissioner Daniel, that's exactly correct. This library system is a larger library system rising out of Statesboro library system. So that's not just Richmond Hill, it's also Pembroke and a variety of other areas as well. So it's a regional library system.
Pembroke doesn't have one.
This board does appoint certain board members to the library board. That is correct. But the library board itself then operates independently under its own discretion, under its rules, and can appoint, hire, fire people under its discretion.
hired the librarian?
Would like to speak, it's public comment.
So who hired the librarian? Who is the librarian's director? Who do they report to?
That would be, I'm not sure if the library reports to the executive director directly or to the library board.
You don't even
But
know.
it does not report to me.
You don't even know.
She would, the library would be a employee of the Statesboro Regional Library.
Which is that still Jennifer?
Jennifer is the executive director.
Right, so I believe that this librarian is who, she would report to Ms. Durham.
That's right.
Right. And Ms. Durham is an
Reports to
employee of the
the
regional
library.
library. We're a funding mechanism for the library. If we ever did take a stance where we wanted to own, operate, facilitate all of the library, that's a completely different environment than what we're in right now.
It is, and even if you did that, you still could regulate speech.
Right. And I say that because I served on the library board 10 or 12 years ago, and it operates independently.
Can I ask one more question?
Would you come up to the microphone?
Yes, sir, thank you. I talked to the regional director, Jennifer, and asked her about these questions, and I asked her for a mission statement. I said, what is the mission statement of the library? I read it carefully, and it's not in the mission statement to promote Gay Pride Month. They are not following the mission. So who holds them accountable for that?
Can I say something?
If you'd come up, please.
Well, come on. You mentioned political speech.
And just state
And
the
that
name.
is, yeah, you mentioned political speech, and that is protected, obviously, to the First Amendment. But in this case, who is deciding, on giving it to one person to decide which political speech is allowed and which one is not? Because if they're going to do pride crime, they should extend it to every other, desire that the public has. So I think that she's picking,
I'd like a Trump display.
it's leaving it to one person to
Yeah.
decide which speech is allowed and
Good
which is
point.
not. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
Thank you
I
for
don't think it's
clarifying.
right.
Ms. Gregory?
Come on up.
I just wanted to piggyback on what she was saying earlier.
If you state your name, please.
Kathy Gregory. And, there are a lot of us that have lived down here a long time, and there is, the Christian values in Richmond Hill are very high. We did not go out and solicit all the other churches or anything, or other organizations or anything to speak to you about this tonight. This was just heartfelt from some of our own organizations and own churches. My biggest concern is if you allow this in there, the display, where's it going to stop? When are you gonna have the satanic group? When are you gonna have your political group? You've already got your pride group in here.
Drag
Are
queen
you
story.
gonna allow us to have major
That'll be the
scenes
next
and, religious activities in the library? When you open Pandora's box, it opens a lot. Like Betsy said, the books, put them back on the shelves. If the parents allow their children to look at that, we'll pray for them. We can't help that. And, we applaud Pembroke. I think we have two of our county commissioners here from Pembroke. Their library does not have this display, or did not as of yesterday. I'm not sure. But, we appreciate it, and, again, we don't wanna celebrate the anti-Christian, the anti-child, or the anti-truth. I mean, and we will applaud your responsible leadership. If y'all can look into this, it would be great. But that's what happens. You allow one person in, or one group in, the next group, what's it gonna be? We'd all like to have a Democratic or a Republican group in there. Can we do that?
Understood.
That'd be very difficult.
And just for the record, I've heard from many people in this community about this issue, and on both sides, and both sides were very civil in the way that they described, what their thoughts is. So I appreciate everybody coming tonight.
And I'll say this, we'll ask to get some clarity, on this. I will just make one point that regardless of whether Pembroke has this or Richmond Hill has this, does not reflect the beliefs or anything of this commission. This happens to be, Pembroke does not.
And I do think we usually have a representative on the library board, like Daniel used to be, Dallas used to be. I'm not sure who's our representative now on that board. And I did realize I think it's called In the Pines or something.
And I will say this too, just one additional is, you can go on our website and, Riley, our HR, you can volunteer to express interest in anything, from planning and zoning to the library board. When these appointments come up, Mr. Johnson, references and pulls all those applicants together, and then we just pick what we know or who we interview and we appoint them. So, join up, volunteer.
Would you listen to one more person?
If you don't mind coming up, man?
Oh, no, I don't mind.
Okay.
This is only the second time in the 30 years I've lived in Richmond Hill that I've actually spoken to a political committee. My name is Mary Sutta. I'm a retired RN in pediatric critical care at Memorial. I worked there for 38 years. When I moved out to Georgia, I've been retired for about 2.5 years. And what I'd like to say is, I don't usually like to get up and talk unless I've had a lot of time to prepare, and I just found out about this a few days ago. So I'm just gonna give you some bullet points that I think are helpful, because they were really helpful to me. So the first one, very brief, definition of a library is storeroom of books. Okay? Librarian definition, a professional person trained in library science and engaged in library services. So then the next thing was, what is the most important act of libraries? Is it early literacy, which is how I was raised, or is it political activism? So then it kind of makes you look at things in a different way when you start thinking about that. I loved my library. That was my favorite place to go. We had a kids library and an adult library in Massachusetts where I grew up, and I walked there every day, and I spent a lot of time there, and I think that's why I'm a pretty good writer and a great reader, because of that, because of what I was exposed to. So are libraries a reflection of what the community needs, which is what I think, or what the librarian thinks the community needs? And I think that's what you're seeing here. So that's not really what their job is, I don't believe. Also, sorry. Pride Month, because I was not aware, I'm very well aware of Pride Month. For those who don't know, pays homage to the LGBTQ community in commemoration of the Stonewall Uprising in June of 1969 in New York City. You don't know that? I didn't. I kind of go back and look and see where this all came from, because I just think that where it's originating from is just really interesting, and it makes me feel really uncomfortable in my community. I don't care what the adults do. I was a nurse, and I took care of all kinds of families. I took care of a lot of blended families, and I also took care of a lot of gay marriage families. I didn't care. My job was to take care of their children and to get to know them and to be there for them in probably one of the worst times of their life. So whatever I think up here is not reflected to what I show to people, and it never will be. That's not who I am. So I don't think the books need to be removed. I don't think they need to be burned, but I think they need to be in an appropriate section, in the adult section. That's where they need to be. So if adults and parents want to go take those books and read them to their kids, have at it. I think they need to be able to do that. But having it be front and center is basically just a slap in the face to all of us. So
Thank you.
thank you for listening to me.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
appreciate it. Hopefully I won't have to come back again.
Thank you.